Bacon prices are up 40% this month. Last month's prices were what percent of this month's price? Round to the nearest tenth of a percent. Now, this problem is not quite as straightforward as it seems, and I find this problem to be very difficult without more information, because all you're given is it's up this month, and we kind of have to go backwards. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I like to work with concrete numbers, so I'm going to start with pretend. I'm going to pretend that bacon was $10 last month. It doesn't really matter what it was. I like to use a number that's easy to deal with. $10 is easy to deal with. And now I can say, okay, if prices are up 40%, well, remember that up, that means 140% of what it was. Because up 40 is in addition to what it was. So the 100% mark would be $10, and it's 40% more than that. So I'm doing percent over 100 is x over 10. So the denominator represents last month, and everything in the numerator represents this month. Okay? Now, to solve this proportion, we cross multiply, and we end up with x equals $14. So that means this month, bacon is $14. And you might say, Becky, that doesn't answer my question. And you're actually right, it doesn't. Because the question is, last month's prices were what percent of this month's price? So now that we have last month and this month, okay, so again, last month, bacon was $10. This month, bacon is $14. And the question is, what percent? Well, when you think about what percent, x over 100. And we're talking about last month compared to this month. So last is going to go on the top. Last month on top, this month on the bottom, because that's what we're talking about. Look at the wording. Last month's prices, whatever comes first, that's what's going to go on top. Or what percent? Okay, so last month was 10, this month is 14. And so you can see this proportion looks different than the last one in terms of the 10 and the 14 setup. So this month now we're dealing with 100%, and we know that last month should be less than 100% because it was less last month than it was this month. So when I again cross multiply, I end up with x equals 71.4, and that's a percent because remember we have percent over 100 on the left side. So last month's prices were 71.4% of this month's price. Now, you could also do it a different way. So I did it the proportion way. In terms of an equation, last month's prices were what percent of this month's price? So we could have done it. I still would need the 10 and the 14 to use my concrete numbers, but last month was 10 times this month, which was 14. When you do that, you end up with 0.714, and now we have to change that to a percentage, and you still get 71.4%. So whether you use an equation or a proportion, you still end up with last month's bacon prices were 71.4% of this month's bacon prices. So I highly recommend that first step of giving bacon a price for last month, finding this month so that you have some concrete numbers to play with. And again, it doesn't matter what numbers you play with because the percentages will always be the same, right? 5 to 7 is the same as 10 to 14 because those fractions would reduce. So because the fractions would always reduce the same, you can pick any number you want to start as long as you use the correct proportion to find your other value.